In the midst of a party, a reveler croons to the rest of the room and has his hair suddenly pulled off by a curious friend.
Oh, geez.
The ball crooner then has a psychotic break and starts killing everyone. Jerry Zipkin, played by Zalman King, is wrongly accused of the murders and tries to gather evidence to prove his innocence with the help of Alicia Sweeney, played by Deborah Winters.
Not like Barbara's daughter, Deborah.
He discovers that 10 years prior, a group of college kids had taken a new form of LSD called blue sunshine.
Oh, man. So you gotta stay away from that stuff.
Which causes its users to lose their hair and become homicidal maniacs. After their trip is over, Zipkin manages to defeat the crazed bodyguard of a local politician, played by Mark Goddard, and save the shopping mall discotheque by carefully remembering the advice of the gun shop employee.
Wonderful.
That is the entire synopsis of Blue Sunshine.
Yeah, that kind of sums it up well.
Previously on Riders of the Apocalypse.
I want to tell you, your mom is my all-time favorite. And the things she would do. And he's like, Daddy,
no, come on, that's my mom.
I don't want to. No, let me tell you something, son. There was this trick she would do. It was almost magic. Dad, please stop.
She would grind her high heels into the carpet.
Dad, I don't want to hear it. He's like, son, listen, you're going to hear this. Now slide over that bottle of Jack and let's sit down and talk.
Oh, Jesus. We just watched Blue Sunshine. That came out in 1978.
Say what?
That same year, Hollywood film director Roman Polanski flees to France to avoid sentencing after pleading guilty to unlawful sex with a minor.
Jeez. Okay.
Serial killer Ted Bundy is captured in Pensacola, Florida. The Hillside Strangler, a serial killer prowling in Los Angeles.
The Ted Bundy. That's...
Yeah? Ted Bundy?
Man, 78, huh?
That was, 78 was a rough year, I think. From what I'm seeing.
What is wrong with people? All right, cool. So Ted Bundy, he got caught. That's good. Not a good guy, you know?
I would say, the more I hear about him, the less I like him.
Person. All right, let's keep going, man. What else this year was insane?
Hillside Strangler, a serial killer prowling Los Angeles, claims the 10th and final victim.
Fucking Hillside Strangler.
Always something with these guys.
1978.
What's going on?
Is this the year of the serial killer?
It's sounding like it.
Did I say serial killer? I think I did. I meant serial killer, okay? God damn it.
American porn publisher Larry Flynt is shot and paralyzed in Lawrenceville, Georgia. U.S. President Jimmy Carter decides to postpone production of the neutron bomb, a weapon which kills people with radiation but leaves buildings relatively intact.
Dude, that is not a weapon. That's just one of the best. Isn't that the Pointer Sisters? The Neutron Bomb? That is a great song.
The Neutron Dance.
The Neutron
on
Dance.
On the Beverly Hills
Cop
soundtrack, yeah.
That's the Pointer Sisters, am I wrong?
I think you're right.
Man. All right, let's keep on riding through this 1978 U.S. landscape nightmare.
President Jimmy Carter also signs into bill a law which allows homebrewing of beer in the United States.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Jim.
You know, that's one of the reasons we have so many microbrews now.
Well, and he, they made a movie about him, and he deserves it.
Which movie was that?
Jimmy Cotta. It's a... Anyways, it's for another podcast.
That's
it's a wonderful film.
Is it?
Well, I mean, it's
I heard it was boring.
About as good as what you're going to get here. It's about as good as Blue Sunshine.
Well,
maybe not as good.
We can revisit this. We were talking about Jim Cotta earlier, and I was pretty frustrated by the fact that a movie would be called Jim Cotta, only to have it revealed to me that there's just a little bit of kicking in that movie. I was like, wait, what?
No, there's plenty of kicking. Okay,
but you said it was very boring.
No. Listen, now you're putting words in my mouth. Here's the deal. I said that it was boring in parts, and it is.
Okay.
We'll watch Jim Cotta. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you'll judge for yourself.
All right.
But what was good old Jimmy doing? He was talking about no neutron bomb, right?
No neutron bomb, and then Mike Brews, homebrewing of beer in the United States, said it was okay.
Like it.
His brother, Billy, who was a bit of a character, and they were trying to get him to cool it because the press was like, look at this fucking guy. You know, the president's brother was very much like a Southern, like, all right, man, cool.
Now, was he
overalls and everything?
Was he into peanuts too?
He's probably part of the peanut farming business, but
Yeah.
I don't know if things were working out. He made his own beer called Billy
He was
Beer.
just straight up nuts, maybe. Like he made his own beer called Billy Beer.
Yes, for real.
Please tell me we can get a hold of a 6-pack right now.
I would. That sounds like a great idea. So, mass murder-suicide of 909 Americans in Jonestown, Guyana, under the direction of Jim Jones.
I personally, my stance on this, Brian, and I'm very strong on this, I don't like that.
You know, the more I hear about this Jim Jones guy,
and I'll stand here before anybody and say that I do not like that.
Yes.
And I disagree with it. Is that too politically, open for this, audience?
Sorry, PC.
I hope
people.
I don't offend, but I don't like it. I don't like the mass genocide of children and women and innocent men.
I like the fact that you can see that it's not a good thing.
It's just not my bag.
No.
I mean, to use an old term, but all right, let's keep going, man. Jonestown, terrible.
909 Americans. That's crazy.
What?
Yes.
That's too many.
Yeah, and they all died out in a pavilion
900
and then out in a field.
908 too many.
Chicago serial killer John Wayne Gacy, who is subsequently convicted of the murder of 33 young men, is arrested.
Horrifying.
So his career ended there too.
Horrifying.
Yes.
Ruined. Barnum and Bailey actually started going under once John Wayne Gacy came out.
Why is that?
The clown. He ruined clowns for everybody.
Yes,
so Barnum and Bailey, P.T. Barnum, that's when the
he did.
That's when the shows started shutting down.
Yeah.
You had kids horrified. They wouldn't go. Nobody wanted to see a clown.
Well, first of all, here's the thing with clowns. Nobody should go near clowns anyway.
That's where the scary clowns
were invented
from John Gacy.
Clowns were invented before they invented fun. See, that's the problem. Clowns are idiotic.
No. Yeah, I don't like it.
If you're like, hey, I'm a clown,
but Gacy,
you made a bad choice.
How terrible was it that he was like in the community as a hired clown? Like, hey, you got a birthday for your 8-year-old? Call Mr. Gacy right down the road. He'll drive his van up and, change into his bozo outfit and do the show. Yeah. Then he'll leave and kidnap a 16-year-old poor street person and do a fake magic trick and then rape them and kill them.
Wow.
And torture them probably.
How
freaking horrifying. Look, out of all these crazy son of a bitch, I mean, they're all terrifying, but what he did, it's almost like you don't want to know.
Yeah.
Because he was into like the torture of them.
Right.
He wasn't just killing them quickly.
Exactly.
He was very much
they
horrifying
were alive
them.
for a while, yes.
He was horrifying them. He would get them tricked into handcuffs.
Wow.
How horrifying. You're handcuffed. He can just do whatever.
Yeah.
I can't even. All right.
Can't get out.
We almost have to get past this. But it's 1978, John Wayne Gacy. Thank God he was arrested. Did you ever come across any blue sunshine in your wild days?
I'm sure that I came across different things that had hilarious names because you were supposed to have, it's like, hey man, we smoked some AK-47 the other night.
Oh yeah. Straight from Cali.
Are you sure are you sure they weren't just calling it that? 'Cause it's kind of a legendary strain, but that's fine. You got it, I guess. Yeah, but okay. So blue sunshine is LSD, or it's a strain of LSD that was developed and was so fucking potent and crazy that apparently,
and it was government. This was government grade LSD. Now we have government grade marijuana. This was that good government LSD.
So this story starts off. It's at. It doesn't actually start at the party, right? It starts. What's the first scene? First, we get treated that blue shot of the moon. It says,
yeah. Oh, and I read that. How they kept showing the intro moon.
They went back to it like 4 times. I was like, wait.
They broke the credits up.
I thought the first you ran it back on me.
No. Yeah. I do tend to rewind.
I thought that's what was going on. I was like, okay.
But nope. It wasn't making you rewatch the beginning over and over.
The director was doing that.
I promise. Yes. He would do like 1 or 2 credits, moon come up, and then go jump right into a story.
Right.
And then you'd be 2 or 3 minutes in the story, and then boom, another moon comes up, another credit,
and then another credit.
So,
another credit sequence. It's like,
it turns out he clearly did that on purpose.
I've never seen that.
This is Jeff Lieberman. I think he had already done a movie called Squirm before this one, which is a, the worms get electrified and go crazy on a small town. It's an interesting one. It's it's all these films sometimes can be a little hard to get through. They're not sometimes always exciting. Squirm is one of those, but it's got some great moments.
Yeah.
Jeff Lieberman did this one, Blue Sunshine.
Okay.
I still like this movie, still think it holds up, but apparently the moon, he kept doing the moon,
right?
Because that was foreshadowing the bald crazy killers. So that moon was supposed to be foreshadowing the bald heads in a weird, director undercurrent way. That's what he said apparently in commentary at one point. So just a little tidbit I read on
little on the nose from Jeff Lieberman. That's okay. We're in his world now.
To make this movie and to make Squirm especially, we already know that this guy's he's a different kind of character. Sounds like a fun guy, but
what else did he direct?
So he did another horror movie, early 80s slasher called Just Before Dawn.
Whoa.
That was 1981. I've seen that one. That's that one holds up pretty well.
Okay.
But anyways, he did write this also, which that's pretty cool. I kind of like when they're just a kind of a low budget, no name guy comes and writes and directs everything, and turns out a vision.
Okay. He's gonna make something. That's cool. I don't know why Tobe Hooper kept coming up, but in my mind, because we were, I think, considering another possible viewing experience that he directed. Yeah. And I was just trying to kind of put myself in a place where I could kind of fit this into the 70s kind of lexicon somehow. So I see that I'm kind of like getting an education about, the kind of cultural trappings sometimes, but also cultural, positive stuff where you see certain kind of shots where it's like, man, this is really good. One thing I've noticed from things that you show me that are from the 70s that have to do with either this was more of a psychological, it never lapsed into body horror or anything like that. No,
it was a thriller and not really that violent.
Yeah. Yep. And so, but the other stuff that we've seen from this time, they have something I've noticed, and that's that they all have very good establishing shots. Interiors tend to be shot pretty well, I think, but a lot of times exteriors are, especially from the Italian director that we were just looking at earlier today. There was a lot of Kingdom of the Spiders has very competent shots in it.
Yeah, Kingdom of the Spiders. I mean, it is interesting when you watch even a low budget movie and you see some of the shots. You're like, this person at least knew what they were doing. They had a good eye.
Yeah.
I like this movie because it, not only do I have a little bit of a traumatic background about it, I was probably 6 years old maybe when I saw just clips of it. My mom had taped it, or somehow we had it on a VHS tape, one of those just recorded onto.
And you saw this when you were young?
Very young. So, I mean.
5 or 6, you said?
I think it was definitely early 80s. I think I was 6 years old.
Wow.
That's just, I could have been a little older, but.
How did little Jason handle the shots of the bald chick that.
Well, and that's what I remember. For my whole life, I was, for many years after I saw those clips, I don't know if I saw the whole movie. It would take a lot of patience for a 5 or 6 year old boy to watch that whole movie, but definitely the shot of the woman babysitting the neighbor's kids and she's losing it and getting the knife and about to kill them. And it's watching
when you're a kid,
now,
you're like, no,
my God. And
hey,
especially when you're kind of the age of that child that's in the film.
Yeah.
But that always stood out in my mind. I didn't ever know what the movie was called or anything. It just kind of sat in the back of my mind for years. Right. And then when I started getting interested in these older movies, I just came across it, and I think I came across it in one of the last remaining video stores in the town here. Awesome video store, Video Culture.
Hey guys, it's Brian from Riders of the Apocalypse. I just wanted to remind the old listeners and tell the new listeners about the new direction of the podcast. We're going to be delving into the sordid history of office motivational posters, especially their genesis in the late 80s, during the Gimme Gimme era, and into the 90s, when people did not yet know what was about to befall them. But it's a pretty interesting story, and we're really into it, so we hope you are too. And it's just going to be, we're going to be posting weekly. We're going to start with everybody's classic. We're just going to get out of the way, teamwork. And that's a pretty good one. And we've got some pretty interesting stuff that I think you might be interested to hear. On with the show. Video culture was a fun place to go.
Absolutely, yeah. And it wasn't a normal video store. They had very rare, they put things in sections of directors. You didn't go and just look
this
it up.
This place was definitely curated by people who like to watch movies a lot.
Absolutely.
I shouldn't say they loved movies. Because there was more, I got into more than a few conversations. There was a few folks that were just like, I'm just kind of behind the counter.
They're called films.
Right. Okay? But there was a few people I remember. There was this one big dude that was like, he had the beard.
Oh, yeah, the guy that worked there?
Yeah.
And he would not let you go. If you rented a decent movie in his mind, then he's talking to you.
Right.
And it was like, okay, you're walking out the door and he's like, and anyways, the director, he had a problem. Like back in 1983, he actually got,
Yeah, you're like I'm going this way.
Walking out the door.
Just very quickly, one evening I was looking around and a certain Japanese filmmaker had just kind of come onto my radar, and sure enough, there was like 2 or 3 of his movies there, like next to each other. I was like, oh, all right, I've heard a lot about this one. It's time to do this. I thought I'd have to order this thing. No, it was there in Video Culture. Bring it up to the, and so the film specifically was Ran. R-A-N.
Okay.
Japanese film, one of the last films by Akira Kurosawa.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of, I'm sure that but anybody listening, he did a bunch of samurai films that weren't just samurai films. They were explorations on character, and the shots were insane, and directors are still doing that stuff.
Right,
Directors are still trying to get their Kurosawa shots.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, long story short, very influential. So I can't really talk to a lot of people about who Akira Kurosawa is. And so I go up to the counter and I put it in. I was like, all right, good choice. Akira Kurosawa fan, huh? And I was like, well, actually, I've read about him already. This is going to be the first thing I've watched of his. And he's like, oh, man, dude. Okay, well, there's something we don't have here, but I'll tape you a copy. It's called Throne of Blood. And I was like, okay, man.
Now you're just... he's accepted you.
Yeah.
This same guy, I know exactly who you're talking about. He was, working in this tiny video store. I think it was his only job.
Right.
And the guy was, mid to late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah.
He's an older guy, and
right.
Yeah, once he would either not talk to you at all. Like I'd be in there because I went in there religiously for so many years.
Right.
Of course, he knew me. He would snub people that would rent because somebody'd go in there and there'd be.
I think it's important we talk about this because
there'd be this is right outside MTSU. This is right outside the college campus. So you'd have, 20-something-year-old college student go in there and rent, Weekend at Bernie's too.
Right.
And he would just not even make eye contact with him. You're not. Although this guy is working his life's work in a video store, which, God bless him for it. But yeah, he would select who he spoke to, and it was always the ones who were, so Kurosawa, okay, all right. We can talk now, friend.
Yeah. It was,
but he was super rude to anybody else.
He could be actually, he could be rough with, there was, he
would laugh at people for renting certain
sometimes,
things.
and there was one time where he was like, okay, and I was in line one time. There's a few people, and there's a couple. It might have been going into like a Friday afternoon, Saturday afternoon. People were getting ready for their, their evenings. Anyway, there's somebody in front of me that was getting their movie, and they had some concert T-shirt on. I don't even remember the band now, but he was like, "Oh, okay, this actually tracks. This tracks what you're checking out." And I'm looking at the band on your T-shirt, man. I don't know. If we could talk about that, but this is making sense now, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like he just kind of drew it out for a second. I was like, dude, he's totally fucking with that guy.
And the guy's like,
and the guy's like, well, it's like I like the band, it's like you just want to get out.
Like,
of it,
hey man, I like Poison. What's it to you?
Trying so hard not to break up.
He's gonna open up and say, tour shirt in 1986. I was there, man, on the front row. Don't you tell me.
That's great.
But just for everybody else, this video store, we're actually talking about. It lasted. It hung on. You watched Blockbusters closing down, Hollywood Videos closing down, Video Culture hung on till, I swear it probably didn't close until 2009.
I'm not really sure when it closed, actually. And it was in the same place for a long time, right?
Yeah. And they had to move once or twice, but...
Well, back when we were going there in our heyday, it was next to campus, right? It was. It was behind the borough.
That's
right.
Yeah. Nobody local, unless you're local, you don't know these references, and that's fine. Just imagine dive bars all around a college, and then behind this dive bar was the best video store you've ever been in.
Right.
Just trashy as hell. You could go in there with an open beer and walk around and rent a movie.
So,
but they had Blue Sunshine in there,
right?
And I picked it up and I was like, "Oh, I think this is that movie that's been burned into my subconscious with these bald, crazy killers."
So you recognize it?
I recognize
something from my childhood.
Yeah,
I've got to. Wow.
Yeah, and I really think that it was me renting it from there and watching it. That was like, well, yeah, it's exactly how I remembered it when I was 5 or 6.
Right,
and it's still pretty weird and oddly. Makes you a little uncomfortable. The hair falling out and the way everything looks back, in this movie, and the shots are very suburban looking. And that makes a little, it's a nostalgic and a fear that creeps up because unless you grew up with malls like that, which people, I guess big towns have some malls like that, but yeah. That shag carpet and the A-frame house that they do the party in.
The paneling everywhere. Wallpaper.
That was how everybody's shit looked back then. From what I remember as a little toddler. I remember our friends and even our house having shag carpet and having these weird... Like, our whole kitchen was just yellow. Our refrigerator was yellow. Our countertops were yellow.
Yeah.
It was like
I remember that
bizarre.
We had yellow countertops.
Very
as well.
70s.
You're right. Yeah, we had a big countertop with Formica.
And my parents were like boring sober people. No drugs. They weren't like hippies or something where you'd kind of do it on purpose, like have cool shag carpet or furniture that was,
That's the world that this movie is coming from. And it's shot that way. And the lighting's really austere. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like white, harsh.
Yeah, it's got a Kubrick.
Complexions are very.
It's got because there's bright red and then there's
but
whites.
It's still a desaturated kind of a flat tone sort of. It's interesting. And the copy we watched of this was very good.
Well, yeah, it was cleaned up. I think that might have been Blu-ray or something because it was. But yeah, it was whether you like. The story, I think, moves along just fine. We never quite could figure out, is this guy, Zalman King, what's his character name?
Oh, Zalman King. Pitkin or Lipkin or something like that?
Jerry Zipkin was him. So he, but we kept thinking, is there something wrong with him? Like, did he take... Because there's moments in the movie that it seems like he's seeing the visions that the crazy people are seeing.
There's one specific place where he is broken into a house where murders have taken place.
And he's connected to them because he's way too intense about it.
And we never get an answer for that.
No, we do not. And my answer for it, Brian, is simply that he took the Blue Sunshine too.
But he just didn't know them. Before he met them later in life. He didn't know them,
but he took the Blue Sunshine acid.
Interesting.
Okay? And he's connected to them telepathically. The description of
the thing is that's such a leap. It's to a point where they don't give us really that kind of like that's a good headcanon that you've developed there. And that's just what I mean? Yeah. I'm not saying that's not good or bad or anything like that. The fact that was not at least something like that wasn't given to you in some creative way in the movie sometimes that kind of thing frustrates me a little bit, where it's like we shouldn't have to like extrapolate that much.
I liked that he was bizarre because I took it. This movie had a feel like a little bit like a Cronenberg, an older Cronenberg movie where there's things that are unanswered and he's doing it on purpose.
Yeah,
I felt like that. The movie definitely wanted to be weird. Okay, and it was. I think that you know he was a weird guy. You know, our protagonist. He was a weird guy, and I think that the only thing I justify is that he must have taken the bad acid.
Jerry Zipkin, played by Zalman King, who actually died in 2012, but most people know Zalman King as the director of
Red Shoe Diaries.
Yeah. Also, he did
the very sexy
Two Moon Junction.
Oh, did he?
He did a few other like erotic thrillers.
Oh yeah, he was an erotic.
I also found out that he co-wrote 9.5 Weeks.
Wow. Okay. So
the guy, his pedigree there. Here he is acting in a film, starring in it no less. Mm-hmm. So we can see, he made a good switch. I think he made a good choice by going to directing and producing.
Yeah.
So. Our heroine, played by Deborah Winters. Her name's Alicia, and I think she was great.
Yeah,
I enjoyed her.
I didn't really have too much of a. If I was going to be serious snobby about it, I didn't have a problem with most everything. Again, it's
all
either he was overacting, or the director was telling him, man, you put your own weird spin on this, and he did have a connection to these folks. And
it's interesting,
more than way, and look, I'll tell you, that scene where the first guy, the one that they rip his wig off at the party.
Yeah.
And he just goes batshit. Him throwing or placing that young woman in the fireplace.
Yeah, man.
Let's talk about that for a second. Because that was, that was wonderfully brutal, man.
Yeah.
Like it looks like, and especially the way he's pushing her back in as she's trying to come out of the fireplace.
Yeah.
And that was disturbing because he looked so weird too.
Yeah,
there's something
that was shocking.
There's something bizarre about it's not a serial killer. You know, it's your friend in a Christmas sweater.
Yeah,
you know, who was just singing us a song and performing at a party.
Right,
and now he's picked you up, picked your girlfriend up and put her in a fireplace.
Yeah.
And everybody's freaking.
This all happens within the first 10 minutes of the movie, just about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so 10 to 15 minutes. And I got to say, I was feeling like, okay, I'm getting set up here for a truly weird experience where there's going to be some interesting death scenes. That are at least good. You know, because this would be panicky and crazy and horrifying. And you're right, the way it was shot and just his like single-minded, like, you know, he's lit by the fire and he keeps like just kind of pushing her back in. It's just like.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
And then the friends are all screaming, Betty's burning in the fireplace. God, get her out.
So I guess, this movie becomes something else after all of that. And I'm thinking right. That's what we're going to get, you know. The rest of it was very melodramatic.
It was. We talked about it. It's very much like
shitting on the movie. I'm just
very
saying
much like a made for TV.
Yeah. It started differently for me. But
has a soap opera feel. And you're right. It's that the first establishing scenes are, you know, you think that this is going to be pretty brutal.
Dark all the way through. No, it becomes very procedural.
It does.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
And, you know, if you're expecting something different, don't.
It takes a left.
Definitely don't think that this is going to be, you know, kind of like a slasher where you're going to get these kills. Yeah. I mean, you get kills, but no, it's definitely a thriller. And it, I think it's fun that it plays around with bad acid, you know, and that idea that all these people out there, you know, apparently there's 255 unaccounted for doses of blue sunshine. So folks out there listening, don't take the blue acid.
He's referring to a title card at the end of the film that gives it does end like a police procedural as well. There's a very Dragnet, Jack Webb kind of title cards that come out and say this, you know, They examined, they captured the crazy guy that was just tranquilized, and they've examined him, and has definitely been changed by a drug. And by the way, there's 250 doses out there that's unaccounted for. Is it you, audience? How about you?
Yeah.
Look at yourself.
Sitting at home. Is your hair coming out?
What did you do in college? You never know. Yep. Interesting.
You pay for, you live, and sometimes you make decisions, you got to pay for them. And
so now that we're talking about that, and again, looking at the time that we're looking at, what do you, I like to try to see if there's any kind of like, is there like a writer or directorial kind of motivation for making a comment of the time? Do you think how
there
much?
Definitely was some kind of comment there. I think it might be, one thing, the folks that are, people that would be in their probably their 30s or maybe mid 30s would be in this year that it came out, would be definitely of the generation that had experimented with the drugs, much more so than the other generation before them. So I would think that this was hitting them, like probably had the theaters full of 30-something-year-old new parents,
right,
in the suburbs, that all were like, Dan, didn't we take that ass? Remember back in 67?
Yeah, we tried. Yeah.
Oh, honey, we did. And they go home in a panic. I think it was hitting that, just trying to, that was one of the things,
yes.
Because it's just, that everybody, even ones that weren't admitting it, these like people who are now in their regular business daily lives, they're older, but they all tried some drugs at the time. So they were all susceptible to bad acid. I guess what I'm saying, Brian, is it was relatable to
them. I'd also like to make a comment about the initial scene where the popular guy that, has the first psychotic break, right before his psychotic break, right before he starts singing, there's a guy that's also on drugs that's like, I'm a pterodactyl, caw.
That never.
And everybody's like, hey, God. Get out of here, huh?
I forgot about the pterodactyl guy.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
He seemed to be really freaking out, but everyone's like,
yeah. I thought it, even though I'd seen this before, it's been so long ago.
Yeah.
I thought that it was going to be all of them in that room were on acid.
They were all going to start going out, killing each other.
That guy doing the pterodactyl.
He was on something.
Very bizarre.
I think it might have been, I think they were going to go ahead and, I'm sure he was on some psilocybin or at least like a
something. And then the guy but remember when the other guy just pushes him down? Get out of the way, Frank.
This guy.
Sober up.
At it again. Jesus, look after yourself.
Just pushes him down, and then we never see that guy again.
Yeah.
Because after that, and by Fireplace Girl happens.
That's when that horrifying death happens. But the guy that was the pterodactyl guy that jumped around, Brian James.
He looked very familiar.
Yes.
He looked incredibly familiar. I'm gonna
any Blade Runner fans. He was one of the replicants.
How dare you? Blade Runner? Never heard of it.
Really?
Can you?
No, it's just one of those. It kind of came and went. Hey guys, this is Brian from Riders of the Apocalypse, and I just want to take a quick break to let our listeners know that we've got a format change coming up. That's right, the podcast that you know and love is about to get even better because we are going to become a weekly in-depth analysis of the career of Kirk Cameron, especially focusing on his years with the Left Behind series and then his fascinating seminal work with Ray Comfort, including the viral YouTube video where he explains how a banana must have been created by a god because it's clearly made for the human hand. That's real. Look it up. Okay, on with the show. Well, I mean, what are they trying to say? What are the filmmakers trying to say with this movie?
I don't know if there's...
I think there's a message.
Do you think
here.
there's a... You give me
I
your
think
take.
there's I suspect one anyway. But
yeah,
it's definitely a comment on...
Do you think it's anti-drug or pro-drug?
I think it's anti... Well, I think it's fun fear-mongering with the exploration that was supposedly done by everybody in the late 60s when it was probably like, at the very least, a small pocket of America was actually doing that actively, like kind of living in a world where it was like hard drugs is really making its, you know, it's not just drinking and a couple of jazz cigarettes. It's people are blowing their minds with LSD and stuff. You know, it's happening regularly now.
Right.
Well, late 60s.
And those people are now becoming politicians.
Right. Doctors.
Doctors.
He has to operate on
They were
somebody.
all fairly successful people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there was problems that would pop up for all of them. And in this case, they had a bad trip.
I think, honestly,
10 years late.
I don't know if there's too much of a deepness here. I think that
that's why I don't think it's deep. I'm just thinking that they were just kind of generally, and then I don't know if they just were like, well, that's all we want to say.
I think it's kind of like
just clumsy about it. Or,
hey, what would get people's attention, and what would really what would sell right now? What would put those butts in the theater seats?
Really get the butts in the seats.
I mean, the disco scene in the mall, like that is apparently I read too that disco in '78 had not yet reached the West Coast. Is that? I don't know how true that is, but that's what I read. Idea. That because it was a New York thing.
Okay.
And the funny, they specifically put in a disco scene because it was like a new, to some people especially, it was a new thing. Like,
wow,
oh shit, that's a disco.
Yeah, look at the lights.
Let's go check out this disco thing. I mean, we just saw Saturday Night Fever. Let's go.
Right.
So the director was just, I think, hey, here's a psychological thriller. It's kind of weird. It's got some scary spots, and it's basically middle class.
Right.
Consumers eat it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That disco was. I did confirm that the disco was actually a country bar.
Oh.
That they put a bunch of disco lights in and used as a disco scene.
Was the country bar actually connected to a mall as well, or was
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I love the idea of a discotheque being in the mall.
That's just crazy. That is, imagine now, like if you're in a mall and people are stumbling out in the middle of the day, just with the person they're taking home, like the lunchtime special. Like, all right, you ready? Yeah. What was your name again? Oh, all right. Well, let's get out of this mall here and go to my apartment. Let's see what we can, figure out. But yeah, I mean, let's go ahead and get your final take on it. Like, was it worth an hour and a half of your time? Or is it rewatchable?
I mean, I don't know how rewatchable it is for me.
Yeah,
I'll be honest, but I can see that there were definite choices that were being made there, and they went for it, and there you go.
We watched a movie, so to speak.
It was on. Play was hit. No, I'm just kidding.
And here's the thing: we all know that I don't really care if you like them or not because I'm forcing these on you anyway.
Exactly.
So,
I'm the sounding board.
Yeah,
like it's just So
the great thing is
I don't have to convince you of anything.
No.
So at no point do I think that it should be about that either.
Yeah.
So
I just like to see the reaction of someone who would never have chosen to watch this on their own,
right?
And they're subjected to it. So it's fun for me, at least.
Yeah.
And that's
I love showing people something I think is cool, and there's times that they think it's cool as shit too. Yeah. And there's other times where they just realized that. They were stabbed in the eyeballs. No,
right. Have you ever heard of a movie called Truth or Dare?
Listen, this movie was nowhere near.
Again?
This movie was a better way to spend an hour and a half than, say, 1990 Bronx. A Bronx Tale.
That's another one. That one, I'll just go ahead and say that was a mistake. I mean, it wasn't a mistake. I mean, we had to learn that we didn't like that movie,
and we learned that it is possible to spend an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. And just have it feel like it's 2 hours. It's like this thing is good. This keeps going.
Yeah.
Just glorious. At least with this film, we were not treated to 20-minute segments of people approaching a building cautiously.
Right.
And, sneaking inside.
Again, some of these are a lot of these, I'm going to go ahead and say it, 99% of these are going to
It's gonna
be a
good.
disappointment.
It's
for
gonna
you.
Well, it's gonna be good. I have a
and I'm
feeling.
gonna just sit back and
Just
love every
bask
minute of it. Just sit back and just watch you watching these in agony.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
liking it now, Brian?
I'm noticing there's a bit of a streak
liking
there where it's like, I think I like.
What'll happen is, by film, I don't know, 35, 36, all of a sudden there's something's gonna click up in Brian's old noggin there, and he's gonna be like, "Dude, I don't know what it is, but I love all these films."
You know what?
I don't know what's going
Here's
on.
the thing.
You got it. I'm hooked.
I like what we're doing. What I'm really looking forward
No,
to
you
is
don't.
Why would you say that?
Because the people can't see your face right now, and you look like you're being very sarcastic.
I'm not. I'm saying I like what we're doing.
Okay.
So,
good.
but what I'm saying is that what's going to be great is when we do have that one film, we're going to hit that first film where I'm going to be, holy shit.
Wow, this was it.
This was
what I was
here's what this guy was
waiting
trying to
for,
do,
yeah.
man. And that's
2
going to
years
be
later.
great. Yeah.
2 years later, it's just not there, Jason. I'm not.
We're gonna get there.
I'm gonna have to. This has been exhausting. You're just like I call you up. You ready for the next movie? And
Hey, man,
you can't help it, but you're almost in tears. I can't do it anymore, Flack.
Flat.
It's been terrible.
What?
You mean you haven't had any fun at all for 2 years? Why'd you do it that long? Man, I don't know. I kept thinking something was going to be good. I kept thinking there was going to be one good movie.
I'm always down for the experiment.
Yeah.
I want to see.
Well, what I'm doing here, we're trying to go through. I want to keep these movies fairly rare. I don't want.
Yeah.
We're not going to go out and talk about Jurassic Park 3. I mean,
oh Jesus!
Unless
we
you
gotta
want
have
to,
the review.
you know.
It's like, come on.
No.
Nobody's.
But this movie scared the hell out of me as a 6-year-old boy.
So this is where
go back and watch it when you're 6, Brian.
Yeah.
Then talk to me. Huh?
Oh yeah, we've both got stories of that. So I like hearing about that aspect of it as far as like this. What did I think
Blue Sunshine. I guess we can go ahead and call that a wrap.
It's a wrap.
I
give it 5 Shem Blacks. No, I'm just kidding.
What the hell was that? I have no idea even what you said. And it was almost offensive.
That's great. Hey, that's it for the review. And we give it a 5 Shem Blacks out of possible quark. So,
anyways, folks out there, if you like the weird and macabre and bizarre, check out Blue Sunshine. It never hurts. I mean, you get off your lazy butt and go check out a movie.
It won't hurt. Just hit play, and then at some point you can hit stop again.
Go
It's
get the movie.
Happen.
Go get the movie. Force one of your friends, maybe multiple friends, to watch it with you. Make sure you have libations and stuff and whatnot,
because that'll really help you.
Yeah. I think one of the problems was you're just too damn sober.
Well, did not hate the film.
Yeah,
did not hate.
Well, I had a blast, and I can't wait to torture you next time.
Hey guys, this is Brian.
And this is Jason
from Writers of the Apocalypse, and we wanted to say thank you very much for listening to the show.
Seriously, thanks.
Thank you for telling your friends if you had not already.
We really appreciate it.
And thank you very much for doing one more thing for us.
What's that?
That's going to writersoftheapocalypse.com and checking out our social media links, checking out our merch links, and even checking out film commentaries for friends of the show. But that's not going to happen unless you do one thing, and that's ride with us.
Man, everything you're saying right now, Brian, is so true. Listen, folks, everybody out there, stop what you're doing. We just want you for half an hour, 35 minutes tops. Come on, hop on board. Take a ride. Let's ride together. That's what we're here for, folks. You ride or you fly. And if you fly, I hope you fly, a decent airline. But anyways, fuck flying. Come on and ride. Got plenty of room in the back seat. Brian, hell, I even think he'll either scoot over or just get out. Let you ride shotgun. Either way, we're going to give you the comfortable seat and maybe even a cup holder. But come on, folks. It's time to ride. Every time I ask anybody to ride, they're always like, oh, I got something else to do. No, get in the car, shut up, and let's ride, man. You know, you only live so long. Hell, I wish I could get my wife to ride with me. Anyways, just come on and ride. Hey, I'm buying gas.
Hey, Moore. Hey, Hike 1, 2, 3 football player. How you like to tackle this?